Sports, all of them, basketball, baseball, snowboard, football, all of them. It's a part of my identity as a person, as you can see, I play a lot of them. When I graduated high school and played my last basketball game, it was devastating to me. It was devastating because it was the last time I had sports organized in my life. I cried harder that day, my last basketball game in high school, than any other point in my life. That's how much it means to me, and that's how much it means to other people as well, I believe. When I went to college, I joined a frat that had a lot of athletes in it, so you play a bunch of sports. I didn't know how else to do it, right? And I didn't want to go for one sport, I wanted to play for a lot of them, so I didn't join a college team. After I graduated college, I had even less. There was nothing else even for me to do after that. So I came up with an idea that I wanted to network athletes with each other. This was around the time that Sports Bike came out. There's another website that went out like that, but I created a Wix site called pickupsports.us. It's kind of worked a little bit, but not really. There was something missing. There was a reason nobody was on it. There was no motivation to go and play other people. What motivation do you have to go out and play somebody? We're competitive. And then it hit me years later that there needs to be a system that you go out and you win or you lose and you get a rating because of it. And that gets displayed for everybody. So I came up with a rating system out of 10. And that's how 10 athletes was essentially born. The rating system is out of 10. So this is what the homepage will look like, and it'll be quite self-descriptive here, hopefully. But you have an overall athlete rating. Now what that comes from is your top sport. That'd be, for me here, I have it presented as soccer. That's out of 10, so it's a 9. Each additional sport, you get points for, just a decimal place moved over a couple. That all adds up to add 0.4 onto your score. This right here is how active you are. It's your activity meter. So if you're being athletic, you get points for that. It can be out of 1. So here, this is 60% full, adds 0.6, that's 9, plus 0.4 for additional sports, plus 0.6 equals a 10 overall athlete rating, how good I am as an athlete. It's very simple. You win or you lose. That's how you get rated. It'll show your upcoming event, you get the maps, have the newsfeed there to see all your friends or whatever's around you, know what's going on in the area. Swipe this way, and you'll get a bunch of things here, your stats, calendar, your history, what you've done before. You can look back at all the games you've had before. It's kind of cool. Swipe that back, swipe to the next page. You get the search feature. You can search by all the obvious location, sport, rating, sex, age. You can also search for events or a team that you want to be a part of. You can search by keywords as well. The list pops down right there. Click on auto match. Click on auto match. You get set up auto match or play now. Play now is obvious. If you want to play right at that moment, it'll find somebody link you up with to play right then. Auto match is a weekly feature or monthly or whatever. If you want to play once a week, Sunday between noon and 4 o'clock, just say that you want that, and we'll set you up with somebody about as good as you in a location around you. Swipe that way again. You get to the live stream. That's going to be anybody with the app. Anybody who has the app can live stream a game. You can go on there, see if your friends are playing. If they can live stream their game, you can see them across the country playing, see what the score is. Anybody can do that. You swipe down, you get to the rankings. That's going to be your ranking that can be filtered by specifically Sacramento between 30 and 40 years old, Sacramento tennis. And it'll show the rankings for them, whether you're moving up or down in the system. If you pinch, you get to the map. The map will show you all the locations. It'll also function similar to Snapchat in that you'll be able to see, people will be able to add videos to various locations. You'll be able to see what was happening in the last 24 hours at like a basketball court or a tennis court or whatever. So this is the rating formula, very simple. I'm not going to go through it, but basically, if you're a 5 and you play a 5, so if you're to play somebody of the same ability level, you get 0.1 added, that becomes a 5.1 rating. It changes every time you play. It just doubles on up and halves on the way down. Very simple. Same thing with you lose, it just goes the other way. Marketing. The internet. So Snapchat has some really interesting functions there with geo filters and map arbitrage. I'm going to YouTube the whole development of it, and right when I get a developer, I'm just going to start documenting it. It's really undervalued these days. Facebook targeted ads to athletes, Instagram, again, I'm going to document that as well. I already have an account up. And grassroots efforts, you know, just go to a tennis court and start signing people up for a basketball court. And be like, hey man, join that. I think it's it's another way to do it. How to make money. Hopefully there's South Park fans in here. So, targeted newsfeed ads. You can be extremely targeted there. You can play tennis, and that's going to be, you can have tennis rackets shown to you, or tennis shoes, or what have you. The store, you can, there's going to be a store, there's a store that, it'll, basically you go there if you want to find like a basketball or a tennis racket or whatever. There's going to be a whole list if you want to go and you need any sports equipment or anything. The live feed that you saw there before, we're similar to Twitch in that people can contribute money to the athlete. It goes to the athlete, it goes to the person broadcasting it, and it also, we get a percentage of that as well. Venue reservations, you know, the nice venues cost money to reserve. We'll take a portion of that as well. And basically the talent, when you get a talent and attention and users in massive amounts, there's ways to monetize that. There's a reason ESPN exists and the NFL exists. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, that's 10 athletes. Appreciate it.
All right, so the first question we'd like to ask before we kick off the Q&A is how our community can help you.
Sure, yeah, so it's just me right now. I went to college for political science, not development. So I do need a developer still. This is just wireframed. I've been on this myself. So I do need a developer, and also looking, of course, for investment. That's going to be in the realm of $50,000 I'm looking at right now. Is really what I need in order to probably outsource a developer from probably Ukraine or Russia to get an initial thing, show traction, that sort of thing. So, or whatever information you guys got, you know, I'm all ears. So.
I'll open it up to general questions.
Yeah.
So I heard about this idea when we did the happy hour thing, and I think then it sounded a little different as sort of like where to find other people to play. But I think the core feature that's something I haven't seen implemented other places is a sort of open source ranking in sports that anybody can do to play against each other. I think that's a really interesting idea. I'm trying to get healthier, I have a kid, right? So if I could go play pickup hockey and sort of add myself to a ranking. So there's a lot in here.
Yeah.
Is that the core feature? What's like, if you had a developer today and you could only build one thing this weekend, what's that core feature?
It's going to be the rating system. It all comes from the rating system. The rankings is developed, the only reason we have a ranking system is because we have a rating system. If you get rated, and then we can just plug that directly into the ranking system. So that's really the core of it. Most people's minds go to the ranking system, which there, of course, there's going to be rankings. But if you have it be strictly a ranking system, it's very disorganized, kind of polluted. It's not as easy to understand. Like, I want to be able to ask you how good you are at hockey. Like, how good are you at hockey?
Yeah.
You know, what, I'm number 100 in the world? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, like, how good are you at 10, right? It's the most basic thing I can come up with. Yeah.
So, very cool idea. I would go to Weep and see how because they do like a worldwide ranking system of people who, like for instance, we go to see who's ranked number one in the world based on. So you might be able to pull some ideas aesthetically and actually how they present them with their criteria. I would start with maybe like Johnson Ranch and tennis club franchise in the local area, and convince their tennis pros to maybe start with them as a beta. Work out the kinks, and because they got people from 28 to 58 that play tennis competitively, where this might be a fun way for them to not just to kind of rub their friends' faces and have something digitally to show that they're the best or not.
Yeah.
So it's something locally you could work out. It's called beachhead. You can use that as your beachhead market. Work out the kinks, and then I would expand maybe even to the college demographic, like for intramural sports, like you did. So now you've got 18 to 23-year-olds, and you never know who's a programmer there might go help you to the next level.
Yeah.
And then you've got more adult demographic from 20 to 58. But one could get you more diversity in sports, and we're going to have the Kings there with no pressure, and this would get you, something where you could go from Johnson Ranch to Gold River to Elk Grove, all under the same umbrella.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right about the tennis thing. That's definitely going to be a very focal point for me because it's very simple, and it's very available. There's tennis courts everywhere. Everyone can play tennis, pretty much. A lot of people can play tennis.
And there's lots of matches all the time, so they can redeem themselves quickly.
Right, right. No, that's good. Yeah, totally. There's also, people coming out of high school as well. That's going to be a huge. If you don't want to go to college and not get paid and spend all your time working in sports, and do you want to do that, or do you want to just be free to do whatever sport you want and possibly get paid off it, right? Live streaming, if enough people watch you, if you're good enough, you're going to get paid from that. I would love to pay college athletes, and this pays everybody. So, yeah.
So really good job on your presentation, and I think I would follow what Pat said, start with that beachhead. Something that these apps typically have a problem with is they have a networking effect, right? So the value is only as strong as your network. So to combat that, maybe an idea is on your website that you said you put out, or on a new website, have like a pre-registration, right? Like, hey, be on our first customers list. So while you're doing your beachhead, you're having people sign up with interest, and then you have that network when you are ready to go large, because if you don't have that, it's going to be very hard for the app to grow because people aren't going to find the value in the network if there's only 10 people on there.
Right, yeah, there's definitely, I definitely want to launch, I'll be launching in Sacramento in one spot. You have to get enough people in one spot to have the network of availability for everybody. So, there's definitely some really interesting ways. I've been studying marketing now for a while, for just I guess less than a year, but I've come up with some pretty innovative ways to spread the news. And it's very easy for me to talk about because I love it. I just want it to exist. If it's not me that does it, somebody else will, and that's fine. Fine, then I get to use it because I just want it to exist. And it will. It will. I mean, I want to get rated so bad. I know other people do too. I know that. Yeah.
So one of the things we kind of teach in the startup world is validating your idea or using Lean Startup in the very beginning. And I'm curious, how did you validate your idea and get in touch with future users to make sure that what you have in mind is something people want?
I've been talking about it nonstop for like 3 years, primarily, and all I do is play sports. I talk to people who play sports and I say, what do you think about this? And I've learned a lot, it's changed a lot, just from me talking to people because I'm obsessed with it. So that's pretty much how I've validated. It's pretty much just that. I can't validate it by building it because I can't code. So.
Well, and it's best to validate it before you build it, so you don't have to keep rebuilding it. Other questions?
Yeah.
One thing I would say is when you're building out the minimum viable product and get design and development,
Sure.
maybe to focus on one sport first, so you can. I can see you getting maybe 5-6 people in each category. If you had 100 people in the tennis category, and then you see pickup games happening, you can kind of learn from that and then build that out through the rest.
Definitely. And going tennis is definitely going to be the way to go, for sure.
And one more thing is there's a bunch of leagues out there, recreational leagues, and they have databases of thousands of people who have been in the league before and are currently in it. You can partner with something like that and say in the sign-up process they can click that they want to be in pickup leagues with these athletes as well. And that way, instead of signing people up one by one, you can port over an entire database and then do some email marketing and reach out to them that way. So there could be a partnership there as well.
Yeah, it's a good call. There's definitely some interesting places. There's athletes gather in places, and so like there's ways to just tap into that, and that's a great way for sure. Yeah, one thing that I've kind of been, this sounds very competitive, like hyper competitive, and that's how it's going to start, right? It's pretty competitive, but ultimately, if you're a group of one, right, and you want to go play volleyball, you're not right now. Like, when you go and you play, you end up with people who are way better than you, and it kind of sucks. This is meant for just matching talent with each other, so that you can have fun and improve as well. You don't also have to play competitively. You can play just for fun. You say, I want to play just for fun, but you'll know how good they are. It's about matching the athletes with each other is really the purpose.
So I hate this word I'm about to use, but you might want to implement some gamification into it beyond just the rankings. And you can find local companies who might give up gift certificates for the promotion. If you get to 10, if you get to 10 3 weeks in a row, you're not only the king of the court, you get a gift certificate for $50. That's the pro shop.
Yeah.
So that's another way for you to start strategically reaching out to people who might want you to put some money into it for you, paying for it. And then also from a marketing aspect, I wouldn't focus as much on a web presence as well as your app presence. Only because you have an opportunity right now to create a local scene and really generate some local web authority in your SEO rankings. So that's a great way for you to become top of mind for people when they search for something like this. If you're at the top of the page in every Google search, then your awareness will grow, and then you can, regionally start to expand that. But if you focus solely on marketing an app, it's hard.
Yeah.
So if you have an app, desktop, website presence, it becomes easy.
Right. Yeah, it would be nice. I definitely want it. The web is going to be really nice for live streaming because that's going to be really cool. You'll be able to watch your friends on the actual big TV, right? You can put that on your TV, so that would be pretty cool. As far as gamification, there's going to be some awards as well. So you'll get awards for being the best in Northern California from 20 to 30-year-old at tennis. You get an award for that. That's cool. There's also going to be a best athlete in the world. That's kind of tight. I want to be that. That would be great. There's going to be, because you get an overall athlete rating, there's going to be a best one, and they can just go up. If you keep adding additional sports, that keeps going up. So if records are meant to be broken, that it'll continue to go up. And I don't know. That's pretty cool. There's some pretty interesting awards out there. So yeah.
Two things.
Sure.
So the first one is there's some other startups in Sacramento who are doing things that have some symmetry with what you're doing. One is called Hoops Map.
Hoops Map,
And
right.
Do you know those guys? So it's a pickup game, how to get a pickup game in basketball. So I could see that their users might be people that you would be interested.
Yep.
And then Fantab is even further along. It's an app for video sharing live action sports.
Right.
Are you familiar with Fantab?
Yeah, they have the score on the bottom usually.
I don't know about the score, but it's for crowdsourcing live video of sporting events. And they're going beyond bail, launching live at Sac Public this weekend. So that might be another company that would be interesting for you to talk to. And then a company that presented here, is it SIPS Sharpshooting, or do you guys remember the guy who is a basketball coach for high school athletes? And they have an app, and that might be some synergy there between yours and theirs. And we can connect you with the founders there. So that was just some helpful if I could. I have a question about how are you going to make sure that the ratings aren't crowdsourced for popularity. For example, everybody knows that Dancing with the Stars, the person who gets the most audience ratings is not necessarily the best dancer, they're the most popular. And me, who is not athletic at all, I have an athletic social media presence that people could probably say I'm a good athlete. Anyway, what's in place to prevent that kind of rating?
So the rankings are based on the ratings. The ratings are based on whether you won or lost.
Okay.
That's it. There's the subjectivity that comes into play would be in sports like snowboarding, right? How do you kind of judge that? So there's going to be, the metrics are going to be interesting there. Right now my idea is basically you have to have somebody with you, of course, in order to see what you're doing and judge how good you are. So there's going to be some subjectivity to it. It's unavoidable. But you got to make it out of 10, so there's going to be a way. I'll just do it kind of the best way I can.
How will you know, how will you verify that they won?
Each of the players, they go on, they get prompted, right, whether they won or lost. Both of them have to submit, to whether they won or lost, so it has to coincide. And if it doesn't, then that's a dispute. That's a disputed game. That goes on your record as a player. And so, even if you're telling the truth and the other guy was lying, that kind of sucks, right? But that's how you keep it honest.
as we were talking about this, I was just thinking about that I'm a developer, so this might be a better opportunity instead of an app, maybe like a Facebook app. There might be a lower barrier to entry to get a bunch of people to easily sign up for it. That might be a little bit more social, what you might be looking for. It's just a thought.
Yeah, I've even considered it so interesting. I'd like to talk to you about it. I don't know what really would be involved there, how intricate you could go, I guess, or whatever, what that would look like, but interesting.
Any other questions?
Everybody's just so stoked, you just don't know.
That's right.
It's just too
How can
good.
we sign up?
We just want to get playing.
Yeah.
Go play it.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.